Dante's Divine Comedy, Inferno, Canto 29. The many people and the diverse wounds these eyes of mine had so inebriated, that they were wishful to stand still and weep. But said Virgilius, "What dost thou still gaze at? Why is thy sight still riveted down there, among the mournful, mutilated shades? Thou hast not done so at the other Bolgia. Consider, if fit to count them thou believest, that 22 miles the valley winds, and now the moon is underneath our feet. Henceforth the time allotted us is brief, and more is to be seen than what thou seest. If thou," I thereupon made answer, "hadst attended to the cause for which I looked, perhaps a longer stay thou wouldst have pardoned." Meanwhile my guide departed, and behind him I went, making already my reply, and superadding, "In that cavern, where I held mine eyes with such attention fixed, I think a spirit of my blood laments the sin which down below there cost so much." Then said the master, "Be no longer broken thy thought from this time forward upon him. Attend elsewhere, and there let him remain. For him I saw below the little bridge, pointing at thee, and threatening with his finger fiercely, and heard him called Geri de Bello. So wholly at that time wast thou impeded by him who formerly held Altaforte. Thou didst not look that way, so he departed. O my conductor, his own violent death, which is not yet avenged for him, I said, by any who is sharer in the shame, made him disdainful, whence he went away, as I imagine, without speaking to me, and thereby made me pity him the more." Thus did we speak as far as the next place upon the crag, which the next valley shows down to the bottom, if there were more light. When we were now right over the last cloister of Malebolge, so that its lay brothers could manifest themselves unto our sight, divers lamentings pierced me through and through, which with compassion had their arrows barbed, whereat mine ears I covered with my hands. What pain would be, if from the hospitals of Valdiciana twixt July and September, and of Maremma and Sardinia all the diseases in one mode were gathered. Such was it here, and such a stench came from it as from putrescent limbs is wont to issue. We had descended on the furthest bank from the long crag, upon the left hand still, and then more vivid was my power of sight, down towards the bottom, where the ministress of the High Lord, Justice Infallible, punishes forgers, which here she records. I do not think a sadder sight to see was in Aegina, the whole people sick, when was the air so full of pestilence, the animals, down to the little worm, all fell, and afterwards the ancient people, according as the poets have affirmed, were from the seed of ants restored again. Then was it to behold through the dark valley the spirits languishing in divers heaps, this on the belly, that upon the back of one the other lay, and the others crawling shifted themselves along the dismal road. We step by step went onward without speech, gazing upon and listening to the sick, who had not strength enough to lift their bodies. I saw two sitting, leaned against each other, as leans in heating platter against platter, from head to foot bespotted o'er with scabs. And never saw I plied a currycomb by stable boy for whom his master waits, or him who keeps awake unwillingly, as every one was plying fast the bite of nails upon himself, for the great rage of itching which no other succour had. And the nails downward with them dragged the scab, in fashion as a knife the scales of bream, or any other fish that has them largest. O thou, that with thy fingers dost dismail thee, began my leader unto one of them, and makest them pincers now and then. Tell me if any lation is with those who are herein. So may thy nails suffice thee to all eternity unto this work. Lations are we, whom thou so wasted seest, both of us here, one weeping made reply. But who art thou that questionest about us? And said the guide, One am I who descends down with this living man from cliff to cliff, and I intend to show hell unto him. Then broken was their mutual support, and trembling each one turned himself to me, with others who had heard him by rebound. Wholly to me did the good master gather, saying, Say unto them whate'er thou wishest. And I began, since he would have it so. So may your memory not steal away in the first world from out of the minds of men, but so many it survive neath many suns. Say to me who ye are, and of what people. Let not your foul and loathsome punishment make you afraid to show yourselves to me. I of Arezzo was, one made reply, and Albert of Siena had me burned. But what I died for does not bring me here. 'Tis true I said to him, speaking in jest, that I could rise by flight into the air, and he who had conceit but little wit would have me show to him the art, and only because no Daedalus I made me be burned by one who held him as his son. But unto the last Bolgia of the 10, for alchemy, which in the world I practised, Minos, who cannot err, has me condemned. And to the poet said I, Now was ever so vain a people as the Sienese, not for a certainty the French by far. Whereat the other leper, who had heard me, replied unto my speech, taking out Striga, who knew the art of moderate expenses, and Nicolo, who the luxurious use of cloves discovered earliest of all within that garden where such seed takes root, and taking out the band, among whom squandered Cacciadiagian his vineyards and vast woods, and where his wit the Abagliato proffered. But, that thou know who thus doth second thee against the Sienese, make sharp thine eye towards me, so that my face well answer thee, and thou shalt see I am Capoccia's shade, who meddles falsified by alchemy. Thou must remember, if I well descry thee, how I a skilful ape of nature was.